Production funding for Behind the Headlines is made possible in part by the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Memphis tourism approaches 1 million people per month. Tonight on Behind the Headlines. I'm Eric Barnes with the Daily Memphian. Thanks for joining us. I am joined tonight by Kevin Kane, President and CEO of Memphis Tourism. Thanks for being here.
I'm glad to be here.
Along with Bill Dries, reporter with the Daily Memphian. So it did come out recently. I think you guys had an annual meeting, maybe that average, tourists per month is approaching 1 million. I think it's right around 1 million a month, right at 11.8 million. That's up a bit from last year, I think.
It's up 7% over the last 2 years.
So why is it increasing?
It's a great destination. People want to come here. Memphis and Shelby County has a lot to offer. In spite of all our challenges that we deal with day in and day out.
Which we'll talk about, yeah.
It's a fun city. It's a great place. It's got a lot of unique, one-of-a-kind amenities, and we've invested in world-class attractions, and they pay off. They're attracting people literally from all over the world. And of course, our music legacy. You can't underestimate the value of that and the draw and the appeal that makes people, and give another reason for people to want to come here.
Yeah, I mean, I think you had some stats that was it 60 or 70% of the people who are coming, it's somehow music related. Is that right? Or
Absolutely. I mean, we'll look at all of our music attractions from Graceland to Sun Studio to Stax to Beale Street. I mean, you go on and on. Our festivals that are music centered. Music, and of course, music is the universal language. Elvis, BB, Justin Timberlake, Al Capone. It doesn't matter. Pick your poison. They're all, they all have an audience that transcends this region and transcends this country.
There's been a lot of controversy around, I would say a lot for many people around Graceland. And whether or not they would build this arena and they would get, some city county incentives for this next phase of development, which just was settled in the last couple of weeks. Yeah. But and we had Joel Weinshanger, president of the holding company over Elvis Presley Holdings, on recently. And whatever you think of Joel and the way maybe he's handled this, or whatever you think of city incentives, the fact is a whole lot of money has been invested in that whole Graceland complex, and a whole lot more is about to be invested. Do you all see that? If you kind of step back from the politics of it and the feud between, the Grizzlies and the city and Joel and all the kind of personal stuff, their investment in that area, has that driven more tourism as well?
No doubt about it. Now, their numbers are still, in the 650 to 700,000 range. I think Joel's goal is to get that up to 1 million visitors plus a year. And I think they will get there. And of course, if they do, that's just music to the city of Memphis and Shelby County's ears, because, you had 300,000 pure tourists. And, I got to clarify that. I mean, the zoo attracts over 1 million people, and the zoo is a world-class zoo and a tremendous amenity, but probably 60+% of the visitors to the zoo are Memphians. They're us. We go to the zoo, and Graceland, about 98% of the people that go out there are from out of town. So, they are, those numbers really are almost all out-of-town tourists that are going to spend money all over the city.
Bill.
So if the Graceland visitor base starts to grow from all of this activity, which has happened really, really rapidly, we should point out the guest house and the Elvis Presley's Memphis complex. What does tourism start to look like if Graceland's numbers start to go up and you have a tourism base that's going broader, in effect? They're going to Whitehaven, they're going to downtown, they're going to South Memphis.
Well, first of all, we have tourism amenities from Collierville to Millington, throughout all of Shelby County and beyond, Tunica, Mississippi, now Crittenden County, Arkansas. So, there are reasons for visitors to visit almost every neighborhood, almost every part of our county and region. What's happening in Graceland with the beautiful new larger hotel and the additional amenities now that they offer out there, and they really upped their game too. It's a much higher quality. No disrespect to the past, but they've really stepped up, and things are nicer, more modern, and more diverse activities to take advantage of. They're keeping their customer there longer, whereas before their customer would do the mansion tour, They might do a few things across the street, and then boom, they'd head to other parts of the city. Now they're still going to other parts of the city, but they have done a good job of adding enough amenities that are keeping the Graceland visitor on their campus longer, which I think is good for Whitehaven. It's good obviously for that area, and I think you're seeing other upgrades to that part of our city as well.
What about transportation? Is our transportation for tourists and for us, our public transportation, is it in line to meet the demand that you see?
I would have said for internationals probably challenged because taxis and buses were not as easily. I think Uber and Lyft have completely transformed the transportation game, because what happens now when you have a lot of people wanting to go from point A to point B, it's almost like a instant lever. All of a sudden there's more ways to get them there, and very efficient, very economical ways to get them there. So we don't hear transportation as a problem as much as we might have had, complaints in the past. Usually the complaints were not from domestic tourists, they were from international tourists. Mm-hmm. If they couldn't walk there, then how are they going to get there? Because most of them didn't rent cars. It's just a different world now. The same thing in the hotel industry with Airbnbs. We got close to 1,000 Airbnb, rooms in the market now. So there's never a reason for Memphis to be sold out because.
But for Airbnbs, a lot of the tourism spending, the promotion that you all done comes off. I'm right in saying this, hotel motel taxes, right? A portion of the hotel motel tax.
Don't worry, they're paying the tax.
Okay, off the Airbnbs, they are.
Yes,
okay, no, that's
are.
exactly where I was going. They are.
Yeah, they are. And Airbnb as a company, they wanted to be part of the hospitality industry. And I was at a national conference where their CEO spoke 2 years ago, and he said, "Listen, we're all for paying the lodging fees and the taxes that hotels are required to charge. We're not fighting that at all." And they don't. In fact, they make it very easy to collect that, and they make it very easy for their Airbnb host. It's effortless on a host part. They don't have to sit there and calculate taxes and fees. It's all done by Airbnb.
We mentioned hotels. There's a whole ton of hotel development going on.
Is there ever?
Yeah. And so everything from, and I remember actually you being on the show, one of the last times you were on the show, but it was a couple of years ago, you had expressed some concern, you said this publicly elsewhere about too many small hotels. Small hotels are great, boutique hotels are great, but we need another big convention center hotel, 400, 500 seat, I can't remember, rooms. Now we've got 5 or 6 or 7 boutique, small to medium-sized hotels at least under construction, I think, right now.
Right.
A number that have been built since the last time you were on the show. And this proposal and a letter of intent signed with Lowe's to do a 450-room massive convention center hotel. Have you all taken, and there's a political fight there, and there's a lawsuit there, and with the other owner who had the 100 North Main building, and people have probably read about that, hopefully in our paper. Where do you all stand on what's best from a pure tourism point of view?
Well, the Lowe's has signed a letter of intent. We are moving forward with them. We meet with them on a regular basis. They are spending real money. They're well into probably over $1.5 million of their own cash, doing their surveys and their architectural and their site borings and things of that on the location that we're looking at there in Government Plaza, as y'all know. We desperately need another big full-service hotel with lots of meeting space to complement the Peabody and the Hilton out east, and I think and now the guest house at Graceland, and we need one near the convention center, and I think the Lowe's is the answer to that. I feel that it's going to be the biggest beneficiary of the Lowe's will be the Sheraton and the Peabody, because I think big hotels help big hotels.
Why is that?
Because it allows us to go after bigger pieces of business that require room blocks in fewer hotels. So we will, instead of being able to go after
break that way down, because for people who don't maybe go to convention, I'm in press association, I'll go to a convention. Lots of people do. A lot of people don't. So when you talk about a room block, what that means.
A room block is, let's say there's 500 people coming to Memphis for a convention, and typically if there's 500 people, we may get 300 rooms or 400 rooms out of the Sheraton. We may get 30 or 40 rooms out of the Peabody because they have their own large amount of meeting space, so they're kind of their own in-house group business facility in their own right. And then we're getting 20 here and 15 there because all these hotels are only 100, 150, 180 rooms in size. So for a meeting planner, they want to go where they can have most of their people in one hotel or two hotels or in as few properties as possible. So for large groups, 1,000, 1,500, that's why we lost Kojic. We lost Kojic years ago. I mean, they didn't really outgrow the convention center. They outgrew the hotel capacity. Their folks were scattered in hotels all throughout Shelby County. Now, they also outgrew the convention center, and they needed an indoor place that could hold 30,000+ people. And when you get to that situation, you almost got to be in a place that has a dome football stadium or a dome baseball stadium to get those kind of seats. But so a room block usually is a challenge. And as the more demand you have, and people want to be in as few hotels as possible, it just becomes a challenge if you don't have large hotels. So Lowe's is going to help remedy that.
Is there room in the city for a second new large convention
I think
center?
so. I think so.
You would say let's get 451 done.
It'd be fine with me if Lowe's built
well.
550 rooms and 100 North Main built 400 rooms or 450. I mean, I think we could. I think obviously those things will cause short-term pain for hotel occupancies, but long-term it will help grow the market.
Because of that scattering of all those people across, they'll all get concentrated into the Lowe's building or the 100 North.
Now let me say, right now we got 2,000 hotel rooms under development. The Carlisle project just they got their financing just finalized here recently, so the Hyatt Centric's going to go on. Is going to absolutely happen at the foot of Beale Street and Riverside Drive. You've got the Wilson property, the other Hilton product that's going to be at the train station. You got the old Benchmark, that eyesore that, at 3rd and Union now that is now a beautiful new hotel is going up there. The Hilton Garden Inn just recently opened. The old Howard Johnson's on 3rd Street, which was very tired and depressed, has now been totally gutted out and just reopened as a Holiday Inn Indigo, a very nice boutique products. And then you got the Napoleon that went in the old Seminary building, and it's 54 rooms. But we have basically, and even the Holiday Inn across from the Peabody has had a total floor-to-ceiling renovation. So, we have transposed our product. The Madison now is the Hugh, and they completely renovated that property. So, the Peabody is constantly doing things to their hotels. So, our hotel product has never been stronger. And even though, yes, we still have a lot of what I would call boutique or smaller limited service hotels, they're all nice, and that's a real advantage for us.
Bill.
The convention center hotel question is in litigation on several levels here. But is there a possibility that out of this does come a hotel development plan for 100 North Main as well as the Lowe's?
I think that's certainly in the realm of possibility. I think that, and I think eventually you'll see the Sheraton Hotel. Those owners will invest and make their hotel even nicer and more competitive. I think as I look into the hotel stratosphere, I think Memphis's future, whether it's downtown or even other parts of the city, as you know, Joel is talking about Joel at Graceland. He's wanting to add another 150 rooms to their hotel and take that property up to 600 rooms. So, I think our hotel future is very bright right now, and I think the lawsuits, all these things, I think they'll all sort itself out.
As this is happening in court, there is construction underway in the area. The construction center renovation is underway as we speak, and there have been several tours through the area. Any surprises? There are always surprises on construction projects, but any surprises, or was everything pretty mapped out in the long road to get this?
There was a lot of pre-planning, a lot of great work went on the front end. As you know, our first set of plans came back and we put it out for bid, and the numbers were more than what we could digest. We had to kind of, I don't want to say value engineer, but we did have to value engineer and put it out for rebid again. We're going to get a first-class transformative convention center. We are now 35% into this project, and we're 14 months away from having it complete. And it's a total inside and out transformation. I don't even call it a renovation. I call it a transformation. Most Memphians will not even recognize the building even when they drive by it when this is finished.
Most Memphians will probably be glad because when you drive by that, it's a pretty dated, pretty
tired, municipal
yellow
building.
Yes, right.
And the Cannon Center, which is a much nicer looking building, this is going to look great like the Cannon Center. So, yeah, we're really excited. We're on time and we're on budget. And it's very important for us to be on time and on budget, but on the on time part, because we have not closed the building. There's still groups that are meeting there, so certain things have to be done at certain times to make sure that we are able to accommodate people that are meeting there.
And you may have said this, $200 million, and I think we showed some renderings of where it's going.
Yes.
It is not that, the convention center in Nashville that some people have either seen or maybe they've just read about, that was about $1 billion convention
Yeah, it was
center.
$685 million, not counting the hotel next door. And, obviously, if you rebuilt that facility today, it would be well over $1 billion.
The Memphis one does not put it in that class. There's all these sort of tiers
No, well,
of it.
it doesn't put it in that size. I think
Size,
as far
okay.
as being nice, this building is going to be just as nice. It won't be as large. I mean, when they built their new convention center, it's 4 times the size of the Cook Convention Center, and or we're calling.
Did you all
the Memphis
contemplate that?
We
Did you
did
do some
contemplate.
studies
We
and,
contemplated tearing the whole thing down and starting over. And when we did the research, what we found that the convention center built in 1974 had great bones and it had great big open spans. You have column-free exhibit hall, which is kind of unusual, 125,000 square feet of column-free space on the second floor, which is very unusual. We just had a lot of deficiencies in the market. The industry had changed. We didn't have a lot of breakout meeting rooms. Our meeting room ceilings were low and columns in there, which, meeting rooms today need a lot of audio-visual and technology capabilities that we didn't have. So in convention centers of the 21st century are hotel quality. And that building was not hotel quality. Nice hotel quality.
And again, for people who don't necessarily go to a whole lot of conventions, you might sort of picture there's a car convention or something. You need a big, open space with a bunch of cars, and
Yes.
that's a convention. But that's not really it. A lot of times there's a big meeting space, and the breakouts you're talking about might be side rooms from 20 to 100 people.
The breakout rooms are, in some cases, more important than the big open space in the main hall.
And one of the things you've talked about, and I think people could see it in the renderings, is you all are wrapping the existing building in a way with glassed-in spaces. So there will be actual
In the
views.
70s and 80s, and in the past, municipal buildings like that were dark, enclosed. They didn't really take in the ambiance of the surroundings. We have completely flipped that script, and now it's all glass on the whole western side. Beautiful floor-to-ceiling, 25-foot concourses that overlook the bridge, the mighty bridge lights, the Bass Pro Pyramid, the Mississippi River, part of the downtown skyline. It's transformative, and it's going to make the building much more enjoyable and certainly much more aesthetically pleasing to be inside.
And quickly, it is paid for how? And then go back to Bill.
Tourism Development Zone and hotel motel taxes. Not one penny of citizens of Memphis and Shelby County's property tax dollars are going into this facility, and that's a real bonus for all of us.
Bill.
So how does the northern end of the convention center segue into that 9-block area that's also under redevelopment between the Pyramid and the St. Jude campus?
Well, obviously there's some very ambitious plans about what's going to happen in the Pinch District, and as you go towards the east, towards St. Jude, once you get into the Pinch District, first of all, if you look at the underpass coming under Front Street, that the convention center now spans over there, that gets completely reworked. The expressway overpasses there coming off the Hernando de Soto Bridge, the Downtown Commission and Urban Art is going to completely enhance and beautify and make that much more inviting to even walk under those overpasses as a gateway into the Pinch and over towards St. Jude. Some of the Pinch stuff is still, obviously, there's a new developer that has bought a lot of the real estate. He's got some very ambitious plans. I have not seen all of the plans of what he plans to do there, but rest assured it's going to be greatly improved and greatly enhanced, and we're going to have more people in the building that's going to be able to serve whatever amenities go over there. So I think it's all going to work together.
A number of smaller, but one thing equally as important that's going on right now. You are a board member of the Memphis River Parks Partnership,
Yes.
Formerly the RDC. You're also a former board member of Memphis in May.
Yes.
Memphis in May, a huge driver of tourism.
No question.
Where do you stand in this fight? There's no other way to talk about it, about the future of Tom Lee Park. And I guess the fundamental question, can the Music Fest, the Barbecue Fest, and a redesigned park coexist?
I think that both sides will have to compromise. Obviously, Judge Holder has been brought in as a mediator. There's rumors that she's not a mediator anymore. That is not true. She is still involved in this process. I think that both sides will come to agreements that will be a win-win. We met with Pitt Hyde and Teresa Sloyan from the Hyde Foundation, who obviously are big supporters of improving Tom Lee Park. And, Pitt has saved Memphis in May from bankruptcy twice in the last 30 years, or in the early years. I mean, through AutoZone and the Hyde Foundation. There's nobody that wants to see Memphis in May diminished. I certainly don't want to see Memphis in May diminished because
what about
the month of May is our busiest month
what
for
about
hotel
moving it,
occupancy,
which has been floated?
I don't think it'll be moved. I think that I'm hoping even when they're in heavy construction, which it certainly doesn't look like they're going to, things have kind of dragged along now where I don't even think next summer is going to be a problem for Memphis in May. Now the summer after that could be some challenges depending on where they are in the construction or whatever improvements that are going to ultimately happen at Tom Lee Park. But I'm very optimistic for a win-win for everybody. I think everybody wants to see all of our parks, all of our green spaces enhanced as much as they possibly can be. But in the case of Tom Lee Park, it does provide a critical venue site for a festival that brings people here from all over the world and has a tremendous amount of impact on our community. And I don't think anybody wants to see that damaged.
You mentioned parks and green spaces over the last 10, 15 years, starting with the Green Line and then the massive redevelopment of Shelby Farms and the Wolf River Greenway and all. Do these parks, I think people in Memphis totally love what's happened, but do they also drive tourism at this point?
Absolutely. We are a huge outdoor recreational destination now, and I don't think we had that reputation 5, 10, 15 years ago. The 130 plus miles of biking and jogging and walking trails with the Green Line, and of course through downtown now, and of course the great river crossing over the bridge over to Arkansas. I mean, it's transformative. I think RCAA, which is an acronym for some Runners Club of America, Association of America, they just named Memphis and Shelby County as one of the top places in the country to cycle and to run. In addition to that,
5 years ago we were one of the worst by
possibly. And coincidentally, we're working very close with Ironman. And I think we're going to have some type of an Ironman presence, which is very, they only go to destinations. Great triathlons, biking, swimming, running. So, I think our future is very bright with outdoor recreation. And outdoor recreation means more tourists because it does attract the visitor economy.
Bill?
Kevin, in the long time that you've been doing this, are tourists different than they were when you started this job? And are Memphians different about our attitude toward tourism? Because I think when I was growing up and the idea of people coming here to visit was kind of an alien notion to Memphis. Like, why would you want to do that? So are we different and are tourists different than when you started?
Well, tourism is a huge economic engine for Memphis and Shelby County. It supports over 50,000 jobs, provides hundreds of millions of dollars of outside tax revenue that helps our roads, our schools, our street, everything. So tourism is important, number one. Number two, as we said at the beginning of the show, we're now at close to 12 million, or basically about 1 million visitors a month. They come here for all types of reasons. I think Memphians' attitudes towards tourism is very positive, obviously because everybody knows somebody who works in the industry. And I think the tourism amenities help the quality of life aspects of all of us as Memphians. A lot of these tourism assets, whereas a lot of Memphians may say, I never go to Graceland. But, a lot of Memphians go to Shelby Farms. And Shelby Farms is a great attractor for our community. And the Brooks Museum that's going to be relocated to downtown Memphis on the banks of the Mississippi River at Union and Front Street, going to be a tremendous tourism amenity, but also a great local amenity for our citizens. And you could go on and on with all of our amenities. I think Memphians are very positive about tourism. And I think most Memphians recognize that it is something that really drives our economy.
Let me go, we could talk about a number of these things, but with just a minute and a half left, how much does the crime problem hurt tourism? I mean, people go to if you search Memphis, you search Memphis, I mean,
we don't sugarcoat it. I mean, obviously, every tragic situation is something that, we take very seriously, and we work very closely with our elected officials and our law enforcement officials, both the police department, sheriff's department. From a tourism perspective, people have to be careful wherever they go. They have to be looking over their shoulder. They just need to be aware. And we certainly talk about that at hotels and our visitors that come here. But, if you look at the zip code analysis, most of our highly visited tourism areas are pretty safe areas. And that's not to say that bad things don't happen to good people in traditionally safe places, because we all know that they do. But, we take it serious. It is something that we monitor. But, on a national level, we don't really seem to be getting a lot of hits where people are saying, I'm not going there because of that.
Very briefly, the Fairgrounds project is moving. We had Paul Young from the city on last week. That part of that is a youth sports facility.
Be a great addition to the city. That complex will, a lot of those activities now are taking place in the convention center and other places. It will give us a central location for that. We're very excited about that.
All right, we will leave it there. Thank you for being
Thank
here,
you.
Kevin. Thank you, Bill. Thank you all for joining us. Join us again next week.